Modern Warfare 2's movement feels clunky and slow in comparison to what we've had over the last few years and definitely needs some tweaking before launch. Let's discuss. Movement in Modern Warfare 2 has changed once again. With the biggest change in Call of Duty's movement system happening in 2019, it took players a while to figure out the most fluid way to get around the map while being as nimble as possible before we had people doing whatever the hell this is. Over the next 2 years with Cold War and Vanguard, we had different iterations of movement that had similarities but were certainly different in their own ways. And now, with Modern Warfare 2, that has changed once again, either for the better or for the worst, depending on your taste in Call of Duty. So firstly, you'll notice that when running around in Modern Warfare 2, that it feels a bit slower and clunkier and something just feels off. And that is because this movement is the most traditional sense of Call of Duty that we've seen since BO4. So it's going to take some time to get used to again. Tac Sprint is back, but due to fast time to kill and slower ADS speeds, even Tac Sprint isn't an ideal movement mechanic, and you'll find yourself playing better running without Tac Sprint or moving around more methodically without sprinting at all. So to summarize the overall feel to movement in general, I'd say this is a traditional movement system. Now, the first major change, the elephant in the room, and probably the most controversial topic, believe it or not, is that of slide canceling. You may have heard, but it was quote-unquote removed from the game. At least the slide canceling as you remember it. When you go into a slide in Modern Warfare 2, there isn't a way to cancel out of it until the animation is over. You aren't able to ADS and are pretty much left useless for the second or so that you're sliding, leaving the movement mechanic to be pretty useless overall and impractical unless you're using it to slide to a corner for cover or dodge certain scenarios. But for the most part, sliding is slower and deadlier to be in than simply running or b-hopping, which we'll talk about later on. There are some scenarios, again, like I said, that sliding to corners and whatnot will be useful, but for the most part, it's very situational. It's situations where you might mess up and do a slide where you didn't want to or you shouldn't have, and that ends up in a death that takes you off of your kill streak. Other times, you'll find yourself sliding around a car or sliding around a corner just ever so perfectly that if you didn't, you would have probably been shot in the back, and then there, in that case, sliding is quite good. However, there is indeed a way to slide cancel that will show you and demonstrate. However, I will say it is not as effective or practical as it once was. And technically, we don't even know if this was supposed to be in the game, and I'll explain a little bit more as to why I think it might either be kind of a nerfed version on purpose of slide canceling, or it was never intended. But with this combination of changes to your settings, you in fact can slide cancel. So first off, head over to settings, go to controller, go to advanced, and under movement behaviors, turn grounded mantle, automatic airborne mantle, and automatic ground mantle off. Then go over to controller, and for weapon mount activation, select ADS. You may have heard elsewhere that double tap ADS is what you need, but I can assure you selecting ADS will make the process easier and a lot more fluid. Double tap ADS just means in the process you have to awkwardly double tap on the ADS to make this happen, where ADS, you literally just have to press it once. Then all you need to do is slide, ADS, jump. Slide, ADS, jump. That is the order in which you need to chain your movements together to make this happen, and we'll go ahead and demonstrate. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and show off the slide canceling here in Modern Warfare 2. It's very simple. You just slide, ADS, jump. Slide, ADS, jump. Slide, ADS, jump. Slide, ADS, jump. And it's literally slide canceling. Now, I do want to mention that when you come out of the slide, you'll see here in a second, as soon as I come out of the slide, I will be shooting my gun, but you're gonna see what's gonna happen when I do it. There is a about half-second delay from when you come out of the slide and shoot, and I'm doing it literally as before I even come out of the slide. I don't know if this was intentional, if this is their way of building in kind of a way to nerf slide canceling. I don't know, but basically that is slide canceling in a nutshell. Also here in this clip, you can see a live action version of this. As soon as, I'm gonna go ahead and slow this down. As soon as I slide, as soon as my gun is ADSing, I am already pressing down on that trigger, and you can see that second delay. If this guy was looking at me in this situation, I most likely would have been dead. That half a second to second delay is, again, I don't know if it's built in or not, but it's going to hurt you in situations while slide canceling into a gunfight. Also, a side note, you can in fact slide backwards, but I believe this was something you could also do in BO4 and Modern Warfare 2019, but it wasn't very common or very useful. If you're trying to get crazy with your movement, you're trying to get a clip or something and, you know, show off, you know, some stylization when it comes to movement, then this could be very cool and useful. And there's weird situations where you could in fact do this if you were to, you know, turn on somebody, jump and slide backwards as you shoot. That could be cool and that could be useful, but for the most part, this feature really isn't that useful. A mechanic that has returned is Dolphin Diving, and I'll just say right off the bat, there are very few situations in which this is an effective movement to make. It's clunky and slow and really is only going to be useful to dive behind cover and throw off your enemy's aim a bit. But other than that, the movement is really just for fun, similarly to how it is in Black Ops 1. Now, Dropshotting is back, and you can in fact ADS and shoot as you drop, and I'd say is probably the second most effective form of movement, if I'm to be entirely honest, in Modern Warfare 2. It isn't exactly the same as it was in traditional Call of Duties, but it is absolutely worth doing and will 100% throw off your enemies, as you'll see in a lot of these clips. They aren't expecting it, and they will miss those last 1 to 2 shots needed to kill you, saving you the life. I'd honestly highly recommend Dropshotting, and there's even situations in some of these clips that you'll see that the enemy is shooting at me before I even get a shot off on them, but the fact that I drop-shotted threw them off, they missed a couple of shots, they weren't able to track me well, and I was able to slide over my aim and hit them, you know, hit the target and take them out, even though I was damaged before they were. And in these situations, you know, if I didn't drop shot, or if I maybe even didn't B-hop, I would have been dead. I also want to additionally add in that crouching is extremely nerfed. When it comes to crouch bobbing, it is rendered useless, if I'm to be entirely honest. It is so slow and awkward that you can't crouch to stand quick enough in order to make this an effective movement. It's extremely awkward, as you can see in these clips, and is pretty much chalked. It's not going to be a movement that I'll be using, and I don't think we'll be seeing it very often. I honestly hope that they change this. I hope they make the standing to crouching and crouching to standing a little bit faster, just to make this effective and a little bit more fluid and a little bit more quicker, as opposed to the realistic version that is set in now. I think that would be, you know, really nice to see. But for the final form of movement, and by far the most effective and useful, is the return of bunny hopping, otherwise known as B-hopping. This is basically a more complex version of jump shotting, which is also useful in Modern Warfare 2. You can do this by consistently tapping the jump button, which can increase the chance of a headshot multiplier and make it slightly more difficult for your enemy to hit you. And for the absolute most effective way to use this is to chain it with strafing, going from a strafe jump immediately into B-hopping. It feels clean, but will also give you the upper hand in gunfights, making you a difficult target to hit, especially for a more casual to inexperienced player, but this obviously can even be used against experienced players, and they won't always be perfect in tracking you. Overall, I think the new movement in Modern Warfare 2 will just need some more getting used to. It is the perfect hybrid between traditional movement and post Modern Warfare 19 movement that we've seen yet, and I think over time people will grow to like it. If you're playing on PS4 and plan to upgrade to play PC once available, don't judge the movement too harshly, as it'll feel a lot more optimized in newer gen platforms. And for those stuck on PS4, don't worry too much, because this game is better optimized than previous titles on last gen consoles, in my opinion, by a long shot. It plays relatively good on PS4, and you're not missing out on too much. Practice your movement, don't get too frustrated, and be open to changes and adapting to new systems, because there's a lot of that in Modern Warfare 2, and we're stuck with this game for the next 2 years. Again, make sure to drop a like rating if you found this video useful. Feel free to share it around with your friends, that would be greatly appreciated, and subscribe to join the Carnage as we prep for one of the biggest Call of Duty launches ever. We've got so much content on the horizon for you all, and we're very thankful for your support throughout the beta. We're so excited to kickstart our Team Challenge series once again, and potentially one of the biggest seasons for the series that we've ever seen. And for our OG viewers, I know you guys are probably pretty excited about it. We went crazy with the challenges in Black Ops 3, in Black Ops 4, in Modern Warfare, even Cold War, but we plan on going even harder in Modern Warfare 2. And that is our job, to entertain you guys. And for those that have stuck around, we are so excited to build up Carnage to a whole different new height this year and do it with you all. So if you're looking forward to that kind of content, we're excited for it, and we hope that you subscribe if you're new to check out what we're talking about. We're excited to be expanding our roster this season as well, given it's the biggest Call of Duty game of all time. We plan on expanding our roster more than we ever have before in 10 years. years, so look forward to that as well. And with that being said, hopefully you had a fantastic day today, and we'll see you all in the next one.